Hello everyone, Chaos here, and welcome to another old school RuneScape video. A little bit over a year ago, I made a video called the 10 mistakes OSRS players make and how to avoid them. The video is still performing quite well, and I thought, well, why not make a second part to help players avoid not so obvious mistakes. In today's video, we will go over 10 more things, most of which I would consider crucial mistakes, so you can adapt your playstyle and enjoy this 20-year-old cookie clicker game a little more. If you enjoyed today's video, you would help me out tremendously by hitting the subscribe and the like buttons to please the YouTube overlords. We're aiming for 100k by the end of the year, and you can also join our Discord server with a link in the description if you have any further questions. Just like my previous video, my only disclaimer is that while I consider all of these a mistake, that doesn't mean you should see them as such. Remember that everyone has different playstyles, and what I think is a mistake may not apply to you. As I always say, I'm not your dad, but as someone who has spent over 9,000 hours in this game, I figured I can help you out in your journey regardless of your goals. Ladies and gentlemen, let's dive right in. The very first one is something I have mentioned in multiple videos, and I finally get to talk about it in greater detail. I know us old school RuneScape players are not really too fond of change, but I would highly recommend migrating to a Jagex account as soon as possible. I always preface this by saying that Jagex is not paying me to promote this, but the benefit is honestly too good to ignore. For those of you who don't know, if you use an account created prior to Jagex Accounts, for example with an email, or for those of you OG enough to still log in with a username, your password consists of lowercase characters and numbers. That's it. Even if you use a shift and the key numbers for some special characters, or the caps button for what you think might be uppercase, you are simply giving the game numbers and the lowercase letters. With the Jagex account, you are actually able to use said special characters and uppercase letters for even higher password strength. And when I made my Jagex account, I made a password so long that I don't even remember it, and I keep it in a safe place with my credit cards. For a lot of you who are still against the Jagex accounts, you might be like, okay, I have a good password, two-factor authenticator, and a bank pin for my account. And to be fair, you're right. As long as you don't share your account, you don't do anything against TOS, and if you don't visit any sussy links, there's a very low chance to be legitimately hacked. I can guarantee most of those Reddit posts of people complaining to be hacked were doing something sussy to begin with, but as long as you have decent protection, there's nothing to fear. Now you might be like, well, didn't you just debunk your entire point? And well, Jagex accounts allow you to link all of your characters into one convenient place, and all you have to do is pick whatever character you want to play, to then log in with a simple click. Apart from that, you get 20 additional bank space for all of your characters. As of January 9th, all new characters must be created through Jagex accounts, showing that this is the future of account management. I don't see Jagex forcing this change upon every single account, but it might be a decent idea migrating in the near future. The second one is something I didn't do for the first 2 years of playing old school RuneScape, and it is finding a community to play with, or even just a few friends to enjoy the journey together. For this one, I will tell you a little story. I quit RuneScape 2 in late 2011 between the release of the Squeal of Fortune and the evolution of combat. As most of you know, you never truly quit RuneScape, you only take extended breaks. And my break lasted for a little bit over 6 years. In 2018, OSRS videos start showing up on my feed, and I get that little itch to play the game again. But this time, going for the max cape right away. I achieved my quest cape, a diary cape, and my coveted max cape a little bit over a year after I started my account, and then it was straight to the inferno. Tip number 2 comes into play right here. As I didn't really have anyone to share my accomplishments with, I had nobody to guide me through quest bosses or give me any tips to maximize my gains. All I had was the wiki, YouTube, and maybe trying to get some useful information from the official OSRS Discord, which, let's be honest, it's not the best place to ask for advice, but still, my experience would have been so much better if I had a group of people to play with. I opened our Discord and clan in around July of 2021, and I can honestly say that it has changed my RuneScape experience for the better. I get to talk to people I meet through my videos, ask and answer questions to anyone who might need help, and I have even met people in real life thanks to RuneScape. This was further amplified when I started streaming, since live streams and Discord communities go hand in hand to make everything so much better. If you have the time, check out our Discord and live streams to interact with our amazing community. This next one is related to skilling, more specifically all of the outfits related to boosting experience. I have seen a lot of people stressing over going for the outfit before they set out on their 99 journey. But did you know that these make barely any difference in the long run? So let's put it to the test. Skilling outfits that boost experience are Carpenter for construction, Farmers for farming, Pyromancer for firemaking, Angler for fishing, Prospector for mining, and a Lumberjack for woodcutting. We'll go over the other outfits a little bit later. For this example, I will use the Angler's outfit, which is obtained from one of the most annoying activities in the entire game, fishing trawler. Currently, if you set out on a fishing expedition, you have a 1 in 12 chance of obtaining one of the 4 pieces. With each game taking 5 minutes, that's an average of 1 piece per hour, which obviously means you'll see the full outfit in 4 hours with regular RNG. You might be spooned or go dry, but that's just how RNG works. According to the wiki, wearing the outfit and the training from level 34 all the way to 99 means that the astounding 2.5% experience boost will contribute to 337,000 experience over the course of nearly 13 million. Is this really worth it? Well, it's completely up to you. This is not the case for outfits such as Pyromancer or Prospector, which you might be getting eventually because the respective training methods are something you will most likely do on your journey to 99, unlike Fishing Trawler, whose only benefit is the Angler's outfit. And of course Minnow's platform if you want to do that activity. The same can be said about the Farmer's outfit and Lumberjack, which can be a little bit too inconvenient to obtain, especially for the benefit they offer. If you aim to achieve 99, chances are you will do just fine without the outfit, which might only save a few hours of training. To close out this point, remember that a lot of these outfits are needed for Master Clue steps, so by the time you are ready to hunt for the Bloodhound, you should definitely have these in your POH. I only know of the Farmer's hat needed for an Elite Clue step, but other than that, I don't really do Elite, so no idea. In my previous mistakes video, I talked about how you have to spend the money to make money, and telling you how you shouldn't be afraid to spend the GP on upgrades that are naturally going to bring you more GP per hour or per session. This time around, we are doing the opposite, and I suggested to avoid spending money on useless items, and more specifically on skills that offer barely any benefits at higher level or even 99. I made another video a few weeks ago going over items I personally think are either useless or extremely expensive for what they offer in terms of stats. Some of them worth it, but you should definitely make them your last things to buy on your way to max gear. You have to analyze purchases and ask, how is this going to help on the progression of my account, or even make more money in the long run? And these don't necessarily have to be items. For example, look at a skill like Herblord. For Ironman, not leveling this skill is literally griefing your account. For unrestricted mains, other than the achievement diaries and chambers, I wouldn't really know what benefit they have past a certain level. You need level 90 for the Varrock Elite Diary and for Strong Overlords in the aforementioned activities, but other than this, you only really need level 99 to achieve the maxscape. 90 construction is needed for the Spirit Tree Fairy Ring combination, 80 for crafting for the Master Clue Step in Entrana, 85 prayer for the Elite Desert Diary, and so many more. You don't really have to worry about getting 99 until you are ready for that maxscape grind. Remember to spend the money wisely, as you don't want to be dirt poor getting any of these expensive 99s, and go back to grinding a boss with absolute pleb gear. Also related to my previous video, one mistake we talked about was setting goals that are too big to accomplish, especially in the short term. Doing so might demotivate you if you don't see a lot of progress towards that goal. This time around, a common mistake I see both in Discord and during my live streams is when people don't have clear goals ahead of them. If biting more than you can chew in terms of goals sounds demotivating, well, not even having goals is a lot worse because at that point you literally don't even know what to do. In my position, all my max the main account has left to do is pet hunting and combat achievements. For a mid or late game account, not setting a goal could make you feel lost, which is even worse than only having a few things left to do in the game. I bet that if you're watching this video, you may also fall in the category of mid or late game account, and there's for sure something you might want to grind towards in terms of account progression. A quest, an achievement diary task, or just a few points towards your last to combat achievement tier. If you have both a quest cape and a diary cape, well, I bet you don't even have max gear, so you could always set a goal to grind money for your next upgrade. Make sure that whatever goal you want to achieve is as clear as possible, and it doesn't have to be something huge right off the bat. If you don't have a lot of time to play during the week, a simple goal could be, for example, getting 100k experience in a skill of your choice, or maybe getting a certain amount of gold by the end of the week. Remember that small progress is better than no progress at all, so don't bank stand all day and get grinding. And speaking of grinds, another mistake I have noticed over the years is when people focus way too much on one specific thing, and basically funnel their entire playtime on just one activity. This could be a huge double-edged sword, and this is heavily dependent on what you're doing, so let me explain. When you have a specific goal in mind that might take a little bit too long to achieve, or you just do it for the hell of it, said activity might become second nature and it might be all you want to do until you achieve said goal. Now, what happens when you are done with it? Do you feel like you need to continue doing it? Are you ready for a new fresh goal? Well, for me, honestly, I feel a little bit empty inside. That might sound stupid, but I bet many of you have felt the same way after spending multiple hours on a goal. The most recent example for me was the Soul Reaper Axe, which took 6 months to complete over a combined 8,000 Desert Treasure 2 boss kills after arguably some of the worst dry streaks I have ever experienced in my life. After I got my Soul Reaper Axe, I proudly put it on my shoulder and I was like, okay, now what? And honestly, I had to take a breather to figure out my next goal. I have a friend who spent a few months doing TOA for money until he had a T-bow and a Shadow, a few weeks in the Inferno, and finally back to TOA for his 500 run for the Fenkin. He said that after those goals, it would be 99 Slayer for him. And oh boy, only a few hours after he started Slayer, he was absolutely miserable. Remember to keep things fresh by switching them up, or if you have an unbreakable mental, be sure to have your next goal ready after you achieve what you have been working toward for weeks or even months. Up next we have one of my favorite ones, which is definitely going to enhance your PVM or bossing experience in terms of cope. Ladies and gentlemen, if you do something in the game expecting a drop at the estimated drop rate specified by the wiki, you might have a miserable time. To a lot of you this might be one of the worst points on the list, but I see this so often that I just had to mention it for one of my videos. When you're killing a boss or just a random NPC, trusting the drop rates on the wiki might be one of the most dangerous cases of double-edged sword in the entire game. And why not, I'll mention another story for this one. So I already talked about my terrible luck with the Desert Treasure 2 boss axe pieces. I bet some of you guys remember my 4122 KC Moss Pipette when the drop rate is 1 in 2500. And one of the most ridiculous ones, which is me not having a singular Hydra Claw in 3550 KC. And trust me, after getting the pet, there is zero chance of me going back there. Compared to some big spoons such as a 30 KC Enhanced Crystal Weapon Seed, all DT2 boss pets at triple digits and so on, I personally think that if you're hoping for a drop, the worst thing you can do is look at the drop rate, since it will predetermine you to think that you might see it before said number. And if you go dry on your adventure, you might grow more and more frustrated with every passing KC. As a final note, this also applies to the rare drop table. No, that Dragon Spear you got from a boss does not mean that you rolled 2 pets in one drop, but it's definitely something funny to look at and make fun of people if they ever get something incredibly rare out of this absolutely outdated drop mechanic. I'll reference my previous video again to remind you how I said that a big mistake is not focusing on quests. This time around, we are going the PVM route, and another mistake is either ignoring or not taking care of your combat achievements, since some of the rewards are absolutely insane. So, let's talk about them. First of all, if you haven't been around, starting May of 2023, the combat achievement system is now point-based, and you don't need to finish an entire tier of tasks to be done with that specific tier. This is especially important because you might be able to do some elite, hard, or even grandmaster combat achievements by either skill or sheer luck, and contributing big time to some of the lower tiers. For example, doing 50 Corrupted Gauntlet is a Grandmaster task, which might take a little bit longer than doing 6 points with tasks in the easy, medium, or hard tier, but it's definitely something that will boost your points by quite a lot. Especially the Grandmaster tier offers challenging tasks that don't really require you to have best in slot gear or extremely high game mechanics. After a point-based system was implemented, it is so much easier and the more important to go for these to enjoy some of the benefits that will naturally progress your account slightly faster. Some benefits include higher clue scroll drop rates, the Gommel's Hilt for teleports to Trollheim and no prayer being drained at Barrows, increased cannon ammunition, lower God Wars dungeon KC to enter the boss rooms, and so many more. Now more than ever, the combat achievements are something you should definitely look into along other goals like a Questscape and Slayer. The next one is not really a mistake, but rather a mistake by not doing it. I don't know if it makes any sense, but just hear me out. At the time of making this video, my Fire Cape guide is the second most popular video on my channel with over 500,000 views. Now, I'm not saying that to flex, but rather to point out that even in 2024, people are still looking at how to achieve a Fire Cape. And believe it or not, a lot of people in that video and on my live streams keep telling me how they make it to Jad and then die after 1 hour due to a stupid mistake. Some of you might know that you can practice Jad at more Ulrek, and you don't even have to get through 62 waves of monsters. But you might be like, well Kals, don't you need a Fire Cape to get there? What are you even talking about? Well, correct, but here's how to completely skip that part. Do you remember the speedrun world? This new addition from Wait, what? You don't remember this update? Okay, never mind. I don't blame you. The important thing is that you are automatically given levels and gear for whatever quest you're aiming for. Go to a speedrun world of your choice, open the quest menu, and then click on Beneath the Cursed Sands. Choose the option that says Setup Speedrun, and you will have a bunch of gear to complete said quest, including a fire cape. Open the group tab in the bottom right of your menu, pick the Tazar fight pits, and teleport there. You then have to go through the little vents into the eastern part of the Tazar area, and then talk to this dude. After a bit of dialogue, he will give you the option to fight an Inferno Jad, which has higher stats, but honestly that makes it a bit better, since the original Jad will feel a lot weaker. This way you can practice Jad without having to spend up to an hour in the fight caves, and you will be able to get it in your next attempt. So, best of luck. The last time I referenced my previous video is to remind you how I said that if you want to get 99 Slayer quickly, you should probably avoid bossing since XP per hour is not great. And oh boy, a lot of people cooked me in the comments for that one. Well, get ready, because I'm about to drop an even more controversial take. And I'm leaving it last so less people can make it to the end, meaning I won't be as badly roasted. The final mistake I see people doing is being afraid to buy bonds and then sell them on the Grand Exchange to quickly achieve a level or a piece of gear you're looking for to progress your account. And before you dislike the video, let me explain. So it's no secret that I am a bond enjoyer, and I am so terribly addicted to this game that even with all the gear I need, I still have that subconscious need to buy bonds just to see a number on my screen go up. For other people though, bonds might make the difference between a new weapon or even an important level. At the end of my 175 money making tips video, I said how the best moneymaker in the game is having a job and buying bonds. And no matter how many haters I get, I still stand by that point. Of course, I know not everyone can have the luxury of dropping a few dollars on the game to get some money to help you out, and even those of you who can might still cringe at the idea of buying gold the official way. But look at it this way. Imagine I make $25 per hour. If I decide to buy the 3 bond pack which costs $24, that is 30 mil GP I made with just 1 hour of real work. Whereas grinding in the game, something like Vorkat might make me 2 or 3 mil GP per hour if I'm a late game account, which means I might have to grind for upwards of 15 hours to achieve that cash stack. Of course, it all depends on what you enjoy, and if you find your favorite money-making method, there's no reason for you to indulge in the art that is bond buying. A lot of people in the community hate this concept because it might seem like you're taking an important part of the game out of the equation, and just buying your way through important levels and gear. But remember that bonds that people use to maintain their membership through in-game currency have to come from somewhere. And if it's of course from people who aren't afraid to spend a few dollars a month on their favorite game, and supporting the company that makes our beloved point-and-click browser dopamine simulator. Boys and girls of all ages, we've come to the end of the video. Thank you so much for coming and for making it this far. And speaking of bonds, if you want to enter our weekly bond giveaway, leave a comment below telling me what your #1 mistake is in old school RuneScape and how to avoid it. Include the term RSN for me to filter, and I will pick a winner on Friday, so keep an eye out for my reply. I want to thank each and every person who has decided to support the channel monetarily, which all goes towards feeding my wife and my puppy with tacos. If you like what I do here, click the join button below to see all the cool perks and rewards you can get at the channel by becoming a patron of this amazing project I love so much. In the next one, I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna give you guys because I am still deciding between 2 topics, but until then I hope you have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I hope to see you then. Peace!